Elf on the Shelf has always been a terrifying looking, because like back in the old days, like no one knew like dolls look creepy, right? Nowadays we
Yeah.
do, and yet we still made the Elf on the Shelf look like a serial murderer.
It looks like one of
So
those porcelain dolls that you would have collected in like the 20s that would kill everybody in the house.
it looks like one of the killers from the like movie. What the fuck is that movie with Liv Tyler? Like the Outsiders or something
Oh
like that.
yeah, yeah.
I don't
It's
know. I mean, they wear like bags over their head, but like that mask, that face just looks like something from like like that or the Purge or something. That's a Purge elf.
yeah.
That's not an elf that's gonna tell Santa good stuff. That's an elf that kills people.
Yeah. So I'm like I'm sad that I have done something. I don't know what it is. And she just like she's never had skates before, so she just like rolls off very solemn and downtrodden, is just like rolling away, crying, and she runs up to her brother or rolls up to her brother and is like, Kevin touched Lola. Oh my god. And I'm like, what the fuck did I just do? And he's like, you can't touch the elf.
Dude, this is some paranormal activity shit. You're haunted. That elf has a demon soul, and you made a connection with it.
So apparently in the story of Elf on a Shelf, nobody can fucking touch it. Like, you can't touch it. If you touch it, it loses its magic and cannot get back to the North Pole. So they're like, they're thinking that Santa's not going to come, that this fucking dumbass little murdering looking elf is going to be stranded here. Like, it was a horrible night.
Wicked smart, wicked cool, wicked fucking stupid, whatever the fuck. Something wicked.
I'm baking like a toasted cheeser. It's so hot here.
My boy's wicked smart.
Because the boy is hotter than hot. He's hot, hot.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Speaking of stories, we'll just get into the whole thing. So obviously, to everyone, welcome. This is the new format of Wicked Hot, where we're probably just gonna bullshit and then get into our real themes right now. Which, luckily for you, speaking of stories, we're gonna tell stories that have never been told before, or at least were planned to be told, but never were. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the episode where we talk about sequels that were planned but never made, and in lieu of Netflix just deciding to film A Bright 2. That's right, the shitty Will Smith movie that no one asked for a sequel is getting a sequel. We figured, why don't we talk about movies that maybe or may have not deserved sequels, had sequels, but never went through with them.
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk about this.
Yeah.
We each have 3 that we're going to talk about.
Plus an honorable mention.
Yeah, plus an honorable mention. That yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say the lineup that I know you have and the lineup that I have has probably some of the most interesting stories of how all this came together, because a lot of these movies, and for you and for myself, they don't seem like they would ever have sequels.
Yeah.
And which is surprising to say, considering in this day and time where basically everything needs to become a franchise, everything needs to have a sequel. They just need to keep pumping money out of it.
Yeah.
It didn't really seem the case back then, but shit, even back then, man, they were still trying to franchise the shit out of everything, trying to make a sequel out of everything. And it's surprising that it never actually came to fruition.
Yeah, I know the 3 that I picked, like, I wanted sequels of all of them, but I understand why none of them have been made so far.
Oh, yeah. No, totally. I mean, all the ones that I have are kind of ridiculous, but I wouldn't say I would be against seeing. I mean, some I would be like, no.
Yeah.
But others, I'm like, I wonder how that would go.
Yeah.
Because they're so the opposite of what the original source material was,
Uh-huh.
that I'm almost curious, like, I wonder how this would go.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's especially since some of the ours are from the 80s, I guess. So some of ours are from the 80s. So if they were to make a sequel of one of those movies now, it's like, ugh, how is that gonna look?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think most of ours come from like 80s, 90s. So Kevin, let me phrase this to you. What do you think is one of the most ridiculous combinations? I'm going to pose this to you. One thing that is whimsical, beautiful, adventure, mixed with, hey, you remember when we did all that beautiful stuff? Now we're going to make it into a straight up horror movie. It's like going from, I don't know, I would say like lightheartedness to straight up horror, violent gore fest.
Jesus.
I'm talking E.T. 2 Nocturnal Fears.
Oh god.
So this is a thing. So just based on the title, like I said, we see E.T. go dark really fast, which is ridiculous because it's E.T., this fucking weird looking mutant that's like all wrinkles and shit. Goes from adventure buddy movie to like Stranger Things-esque horror fest. So just to let you know, the script was actually written by Steven Spielberg and the E.T. writer Melissa Matheson. Basically what happens is it picks up right after the movie ends, the end of the first film. So E.T. goes off, E.T. phones at home. He goes home. Elliot, he's being a little bitch. He's sad. He's out of school for the summer. He's got no aliens to play with. So he's stuck to doing 80s things like every other kid. However, that signal E.T. sent out wasn't just to his planet. It was a wide broadcast to all the scum of the universe and some evil, quote unquote, evil carnivorous aliens show up as a response to E.T.'s call of help. They get into the forest, they start fucking shit up, eating shit, just wreaking havoc. The main like alien boss is like, find everything, get everyone. Ends up near the part of the story. Elliot and his friends are captured and violently tortured. This is what Steven Spielberg said. Violently tortured. Elliot and his friends. Remember those kids that were riding on bicycles, escaping the FBI or whatever, CIA? They're being violently tortured by alien beings. But guess what? It's all rectified. E.T. comes back, saves the day. Yay! So basically, obviously, Spielberg didn't make this movie because he thought it would ruin the quote-unquote virginity of the movie. It would destroy the beauty of his first, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a perfect movie, but the beauty of his first movie. Thoughts on E.T. 2, Nocturnal Fears?
That scared the shit out of me. Because it's not like it's a sequel to Alien. It's Aliens. It's not
Right.
Aliens. It's not like I know what I'm getting. I know what I'm getting with Alien. I'm gonna go see Aliens and be even more scared. It's like that's like the quintessential movie of 90s kids and 80s kids. Like that's your comfort movie.
Adventure. That's
Yeah,
your adventure. Every kid wants to be Elliot and have that adventure because no one gets killed. No one gets in really serious trouble despite like stealing government property and getting away with it. I love that. That's how that like none of that plot point was even mentioned in the inception of this sequel. It's just like, all right, E.T.'s gone, and the government, I guess, just forgets about it. They're like, all right, he's gone. Fuck those kids. We didn't really care anyway. I am glad, however, that because like you said, like you're going from aliens to aliens. So you're expecting that same amount of terror. With E.T., if Spielberg just made it E.T. 2, I'd be like, oh shit, he comes back. They have more great adventures. You needed to throw in the Nocturnal Fears.
That's what gets me.
That's like
what-
it needs to
what
be
gets
not E.T. 2 Nocturnal an anthology. Like this is what E.T. would have been. Because an extraterrestrial to me, as a human being, I think like I'm afraid of aliens, right? Like Aliens just don't come around and hang out.
Here's my thoughts on E.T. in general. I hated the movie. First of all, there's two reasons. I hate Reese's Pieces. Can't stand them. I fucking hate them.
So that's the root of the movie is the product placement.
That's like
Okay.
the that's like 1A.
You're like, fuck Reese's Pieces. I'm a Skittles guy or M&M's guy. I don't want anything to do with this ET.
That's my thoughts. Yes. The main reason was never in my life, even as a kid, did I ever want to see an alien, like in real life. So when Elliot finds this alien, I'm just like, no, nobody would do that. Like, I would not have fucking done that. I would not have even gotten next to a fucking alien, let alone befriend one.
Yeah, befriend one and don't tell your parents. What if ET2 Nocturnal Fears ended up being like, this is what actually would have happened if a kid found some alien creature? You're hiding it from your parents and it's like slowly like growing strength and evolving like Alien, right? The alien comes out of the chest, right? I mean, it's disgusting, but it's still kind of like innocent in a way. It's still vulnerable. It's still this tiny little creature. ET is like that. He's like a giant, disgusting fucking monster. But what if ET, while Elliot's hiding him from his mom which by the way, the parents were the mom was a fucking idiot. Like, how does she not know that Yoda was ET? Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, she's
Or not Yoda, the ETC's Yoda, the ghost guy. They're like, oh, who's your friend under the white sheet? That would never happen. But anyway, what if that during that entire time, ET's slowly mutating and becoming, he's probably part of like a gremlin race, right? Like, oh yeah, the Furby guy, he's cute, but soon he'll evolve into an asshole that murders people. So shame on Elliot, really, for taking in this. You're right. I don't fuck with aliens. You don't know what that is. I would be calling the government.
There's two things that I don't fuck with. Actually, three with Reese's Pieces. So, first off, demons. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Aliens.
You can't beat a demon. You can't beat an alien.
You can't beat a demon. You can't beat an alien. If they were a fucking team, we would be done.
Oh, for sure. What if there's a demon race like Doom?
Oh, shit.
That's like alien and hell.
Alien demons. New movie idea. That's a new movie idea. That's a sequel idea.
ET2 Nocturnal Fears, Alien Demons. You heard it here. Yeah, I don't. As far as the movie is concerned, ET2 Nocturnal Fears is an amazing title. But I don't know if I mean, I think ET's fine. I think maybe if ET2 Nocturnal Fears was the thing, I'd probably be more into that than I would be with the normal ET story. Because it does kind of have like a Stranger Things feel to it. Like, just when I was reading it, it felt like Stranger Things. I feel like ET2 Nocturnal Fears is Stranger Things. So I guess we kind of got that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they could have been two separate movies. Like, the second one could have been its own horror movie on its by itself, and just like don't even involve Elliot or ET, and just like, or make that like a little tiny plot point, like maybe some canon that you released like a little earlier in the trailer or something.
I see. So you're saying like ET2, it's like we saw ET, the good ET. Now we're seeing a bad ET, a bad extraterrestrial that Elliot can't just come up and like try to hug. It's gonna fucking rip your face off. I've been looking forward to ET2 Nocturnal Fears if it ever gets made.
So this was, when did this get canceled, or when did they decide not to make this?
Basically right after they had written the script. So like it was planned right after the movie. The first one was a success, and then Spielberg was basically like, I'm calling it quits on this one.
It's kind of funny, and it also sucks that you're like, it takes so long to write a script, and like it's such a process. Imagine like finishing a script and then rereading it and being like, fuck, we are never gonna make this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the studio would have made it, but I guess it ultimately he probably looked at it and was like, "This is one may not be good, and two would ruin what I made before," which makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
But yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
So, what do you got for me, my man? So, like on the whole, two, yay, nay. What do you?
It as a standalone, yeah, I would have been into it.
Okay,
What about you?
but I would have been into it. I like the step that you took, where it's just like we saw the good version. Now we're having another.
Yeah.
Like tail, like not tail, like a Twilight Zone. Like this was the first episode had to do with the good outcome, and now we're gonna get the episode where it has to deal with the bad outcome. I would have been into that.
Yeah. That's a way better approach.
Yeah.
All right. So my first one here is fucking mess. Like a mess of a sequel. So this is Burton's third Batman movie.
Okay.
So we all know Batman Returns. So he was actually supposed to make another Batman movie. And we all know what we got out of it. We got Batman Forever.
Don't hate on that movie. I sneakily like that movie.
Yeah. It's a movie. It's definitely a movie.
It was made on film and was released in theaters. This is true.
Yes. So this Batman was the follow-up to Batman Returns, and it was supposed to come out in 95. So Batman Returns came out in 92, so they were going to take the time, write the right movie, and come out in 95.
Okay.
So at the time Batman Returns was coming out, it was everywhere. Fucking toys, lunchboxes, backpacks. I had one. And fucking McDonald's.
Right.
Like, it was everywhere. Happy Meals, like, anywhere.
Yeah, the Burton Batman was like an all-time classic.
Yeah. So Batman Returns opened on June 19th, 1992. And before 4th of July, the New York Times was coming out with all these letters and articles about how parents are angry and they can't believe McDonald's has endorsed this violent, horrible movie. One of the quotes even said, "Has McDonald's no conscience?" And
No, they don't.
No,
It's McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's McDonald's.
Yeah. So another the Dove Foundation, it's a Christian organization,
Oh Jesus.
basically came out and said McDonald's is promoting a movie to kids that is gratuitous and graphic and violent. So the studio was already like, fuck.
Yeah.
We're not getting some good press here.
But that was from Batman Returns, not
The second
1989 Batman.
Right, this is from Batman Returns, the Penguin one. So
I feel like they were both equally violent.
yeah, I'm looking back on them and I'm like, they're the same movie, just like
I mean, despite the fact that Batman put dynamite on someone and killed him, no one talks about that.
yeah.
You know the big like circus freak guy that he fights and he
Yeah.
like punches him and the guy just isn't even phased and then he somehow has like a dynamite on him. I could get that. I mean, that Batman clearly killed someone, just didn't care.
That's true. I mean, that could be the only thing. The one person dies in this movie.
Yeah, it could be. I think all these parents were just true diehard Batman fans
Yeah.
who knew Batman doesn't kill.
So after this Dove Foundation came out and said all this stuff, McDonald's and Warner Brothers, all their executives came out and said that the McDonald's Happy Meal toys are not an advertisement for Batman Returns.
Yeah.
The Happy Meal toys are an advertisement for the character Batman, which is
Okay.
very
So
no affiliation.
no affiliation with the movie that just came out.
Yeah, that has Catwoman, Penguin, and Batman, and the toys were a Batmobile, a Penguin car thing, and a cat thing. So
that's surprising.
that is very surprising.
Yeah, it's a total coincidence.
So by late July 1992, this is a month and a half after the movie comes out, one of the Warner Brothers executives comes out and says, anonymously, because he didn't want to be named, he said, the movie is too dark and just not fun.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and I guess the studio leaked that they weren't happy with the performance, the box office performance. So, yeah, it was pretty much a shitstorm after that. The writer of Batman Returns came out and said in an interview for a documentary, Daniel Winters, he said, "It's great. The lights are coming up after Batman Returns, and kids are crying. People are acting like they've been punched, like they've been mugged. Part of me, part of me relished that reaction, and part of me to this day is like, oops." So
That's
at the end of the day, he was kind of skeptical on it. So all of this shit was happening. The executives were coming out and hating on the movie. McDonald's was hating on it. Parents were hating on it. Everyone was hating on it. At the end of this, Tim Burton was still supposed to make Batman 3. And he had ideas for Batman 3.
okay.
Michael Keaton was set to come back. Michelle Pfeiffer was set to come back. Robin Williams was in talks to play the Riddler.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, and Rene Russo was signed on to play the love interest. And they were bringing back Billy D. Williams from the first movie as Harvey
To
Dent.
play Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
This all sounds awesome.
It does sound awesome. So the next step after this is like months after Batman Returns came out. Burton goes to meet with the studio about his next project, which he thinks is going to be Batman 3.
Okay.
So he shows up to the interview or the meeting, and he's pitching ideas, throwing ideas out for Batman 3. And the studio just basically stops him and says, "Don't you want to make a smaller movie? Don't you want
Because
to make
they basically were trying to keep him from
Yeah,
making another Batman because kids were crying at the. I mean, I get Batman Returns is very much a adult movie. It's not meant
It
for
is.
children.
Yeah. That's exactly what Tim Burton said in a documentary that I watched. Was the movie was never marketed to kids. It was never supposed to be marketed to kids. The McDonald's thing was the idea of the studio and McDonald's. It had nothing to do. It was before they even saw the movie.
Oh,
So yeah, all that happened.
1989 Batman is not for children.
No,
So why would they think that he was going to be making a movie for kids? Because they clearly didn't have this sort of marketing when 1989 Batman was made.
no. You would have had to have seen Batman to have wanted to go see Batman Returns. So,
Right.
assuming that you've seen Batman, you know what type of movie it is.
Yeah.
And you know that Batman Returns is going to be similar style, similar everything to that movie.
Right.
Nobody takes that into consideration when they're judging Batman Returns. It's the same style, it's the same thing, really, but he does murder one guy in cold blood.
Right.
So that's, I mean, either way. Pretty much after that meeting, Tim Burton was out, like, immediately. And the studio pretty much immediately hired Joel Schumacher. And
he made it lighthearted, all right.
that was pretty much the beginning of the end. So Michael Keaton stayed on to play Batman. And then right before they were supposed to start production, he quit because he said the script was trash. And
oh God.
once he said that, the studio said in a LA Times article that Keaton wanted too much money. He wanted merchandising rights, and it just wasn't.
So they lied.
Yeah, they basically lied because he said the movie was terrible. After that, Robin Williams came out.
Dropped out.
He didn't come out, but he mentioned to some people that he hated the script and he didn't want to play the Riddler. So they moved on and signed on the up-and-comer at the time. He was fresh off of Ace Ventura and signed on Jim Carrey. Billy D. Williams actually wanted to stay on and play Harvey Dent, but Joel Schumacher.
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that. Yeah.
Joel Schumacher didn't want him. He wanted a less black one.
So he went with Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Basically, the most black you could get is Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah. And
Jesus.
after all this, Marlon Wayans was still supposed to come back and play Robin. He was signed on to play Robin in Batman Returns, but he was cut from the movie because it was already a pretty crowded movie in the studio's opinion, so they cut him out of the movie. He was signed on to return for Batman Returns, or Batman Forever. But Joel Schumacher, again, wanted a whiter Robin and got Chris O'Donnell. So Marlon Wayans was never in a Batman movie, but he was paid for 2 of them.
Marlon Wayans.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So pretty much after that, the only constant in the 2 movies is Alfred, and that's how we got Batman Forever and no Batman 3.
That's really sad, honestly. Like, I'm severely disappointed that we didn't get Batman.
Yeah, I hate how the studio treated him after that.
So basically, once again, children ruin it.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how are you gonna do Tim Burton like that? I'm sure both movies made a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
Jesus. So instead, they made 2 of the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, but
superhero movies of all time.
Another interesting thing that I read was that if we didn't get the 5th Batman and Robin, they would have never greenlit Nolan's Batman.
Oof.
So
you take some. I'm no offense to the 1999 Michael Keaton Batman and 92 Batman, but I mean, we've got like probably the greatest superhero film of all time in The Dark Knight. So
yeah,
if we had to get 2 really bad movies to get one like life-altering movie, I say it's worth it.
Yeah, I saw all of those in theaters and I had all the toys, but I'll give that all back to have the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, by the way, I don't actually hate Batman Forever. I hate Batman and Robin as far as a movie, as a comedy. It is outrageous. Batman Forever, I don't hate it. I don't particularly like it. It's more of like a nostalgia watch for me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I like Sandlot, but I don't want to watch it right now.
Yeah. That's it. It sucks because we didn't get Batman 3, but at the same time, I'm happy that we didn't, because like you said, no Nolan trilogy is basically like, what would be the best superhero movie? I couldn't even think of what would replace The Dark Knight as the best superhero movie of all time.
There's not even really a close second. Maybe Iron Man.
There really isn't.
Maybe Iron Man.
Maybe.
Just because that was the first one to be
the MCU powerhouse.
Yeah, yeah.
But even then, like, Iron Man is such like a low rate hero
in the comic world.
In the comic world.
In the movie
MCU,
world, he's the fucking head honcho.
Yeah, he really
HBIC.
is. Yeah, head fish in charge for sure. I mean, yeah. So it's hard because you have Batman, which is Batman. I guess I would. I don't know if I'll get hate
Don't
for
you
this.
fucking say it. Don't you fucking say it.
I think close second could be, minus the third one, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Fuck.
What?
Dude, I honestly like the first Amazing Spider-Man better than I like the first regular Spider-Man. I think Andrew Garfield is such a better Spider-Man.
Oh my God, fuck off. Fuck off with that. Andrew Garfield, fuck off with that.
What do you have against him?
I just don't like him. I just really just don't like the Amazing Spider-Man or the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think they were ruined. and he's the centerpiece of that. So, not a fan.
You're not a fan because you didn't like the movie, not because you didn't like him.
I didn't like him either. I just thought he was too cool to be. He was like that skater kid.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see that if you're Hannibal Lecter.
Oh God. Speaking of Tim Burton, this is pre-Batman. Well, we all have another Michael Keaton, Tim Burton movie we all love. At least I love. I don't know about your thoughts on this, considering you hate E.T., but Beetlejuice. Is that an okay in Kevin's world?
I love Beetlejuice.
Okay.
Love it.
So, speaking of Beetlejuice, our next installment is a little sequel I like to call, as does everyone, Tim Burton's Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. Luau, luau.
That's the name of the movie?
Movie is called Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian.
Huh, okay. It sounds like a Weekend at Bernie's sequel.
So basically the backstory, I'll just tell you what the movie's about. So Lydia, obviously Winona Ryder, and the Dietz family, which is her family, moved to Hawaii to open a resort that is built upon ancient burial grounds. By the way, this never comes back into the plot. I just want to throw that out there. They said it's ancient burial grounds, never comes back into the plot.
So it could just be no burial grounds.
Correct. It could just be a lot that's for sale. And then for reasons undisclosed, she hires Beetlejuice to scare her family off the island. Sound familiar?
It sounds horrible.
Yeah, but does the base of Lydia move somewhere new with her family, hires ghosts to scare off family?
It sounds a lot like the first one.
Yeah, it is exactly like the first one. Also, by the way, a little plot point that they throw. She also somehow makes Beetlejuice somehow makes Lydia fall in love with him with some magic like roofie spell, I guess. And I don't know. So after the success of Beetlejuice, which wasn't planned, the studio, as studios do, forced Tim Burton to basically make a sequel, considering how good the first one did. He came up with the concept and script as a joke, saying they'll never what's the worst thing you could possibly think of? Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. So he wrote basically the same exact script. The concept was meant to scare off the studio.
Was it meant to be the same movie?
Yeah, it was like lazily done. Like he was just like, we'll just do the same thing.
Like copy
and then
paste, change it, change these to Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly. So the studio obviously didn't hate it. They were like, this is gonna make $1 billion. So they greenlit to do the movie. Keaton and Winona Ryder signed on as long as Tim Burton directed. But luckily for all of us, Tim Burton got started on the Batman franchise, so the project just kind of got lost. I think they ended up asking Kevin Smith to do it, and Kevin Smith's response was, "Didn't we get what didn't Beetlejuice say enough like in the first movie? Like that's I think we basically closed up the shop on that one."
Yeah.
So
I
thoughts on the Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian.
Well, I actually heard on a podcast or something that Kevin Smith was on about how he pretty much laughed in the face of the studio when they asked him about the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like he thought it was hilarious. And I guess that he got the joke. Like that Tim Burton did not want to make this movie and did not.
Right.
Like, yeah, I think he got the joke and nobody else did.
Well, because I mean, think about studio heads; they're businessmen, make a lot of money.
Yeah,
and they clearly think like, "Oh, let's bring Beetlejuice back; it's gonna be a good thing." But Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian it sounds like a direct-to-DVD thing with like Stone Cold Steve Austin playing Beetlejuice. Like honestly, it's like It's like a behind enemy lines too, with like insert WWE wrestler. It's and that, by the way, was an actual movie. Same thing with like Jarhead 2 and 3. Like it's just with they just take the title and they slap and put some new actors in it that will never be seen again. And they think they're gonna they probably will make money off it. I don't know.
This reminds me of when Saved by the Bell went to Hawaii. And it was like this whole story arc about Hawaii, Saved by the Bell. Like, that's what it reminds me of. It's the same Saved by the Bell, it's just in Hawaii. Same
Exactly.
Beetlejuice, it's in Hawaii.
It's in Hawaii. What I thought was crazy is that Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder were like, yeah, we'll do the movie as long as Tim Burton directs it. Like, they must have been like oblivious to the fact that this wasn't a real thing. Or they just needed money, which is fine.
That's what kind of blows my mind is like, well, maybe with Michael Keaton at the time, but he's so picky and choosy now. I can't imagine that he hasn't been like that his whole career. Why would he agree to do this?
I mean,
you think that he
Beetlejuice
did it
itself,
for the money?
maybe, but Beetlejuice itself doesn't seem like a Michael Keaton role.
Yeah.
I mean, well, then again, I guess that's not the case because I mean, I feel like he's done more comedies than he has like serious movies. I mean, he did do like Multiplicity, and I know he's done like other comedies too. So
Yeah.
I guess that's not like too off. But this is Beetlejuice Go Hawaiian is a direct to DVD or like a cartoon or something. It's not a sequel to a great movie.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like
As good as the title.
it sounds as good as the title. Yes, it does. It sounds like Saved by the Bell goes to Hawaii. Like, that's what it sounds like to me.
I feel like that's a lot of stupid little tropes, especially back in like the 80s and 90s. You say, blah, blah, blah movie goes to Hawaii, in Hawaii. That's like where sequels go to die. And luckily, this one did die before it even came out.
Yeah, I'm glad we never got that sequel. Oh, fuck. That would have been so bad. That would have.
By the way, Beetlejuice did win a surfing contest in the movie.
Fuck it. It's like I could see Tim Burton writing, and he's just like,
What's really
"Motherfucking
stupid?
idiot
Yeah.
studio." And then Beetlejuice won the surfing competition.
Yep.
Like, I could just see that.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I don't really know what else to say other than the fact that it just sounds awful.
Yeah, that's my thoughts on it too.
All right, so what you got?
All right, my next one is a sequel that nobody in their right mind would ever want.
Okay.
It is Gump and Co. It is the follow-up to Forrest Gump. Oscar-winning movie Forrest Gump.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So Gump and Co. was a novel from the same author that wrote Forrest Gump. It's an actual novel sequel.
Wait. Forrest Gump was a book?
Yeah, it's a book, and there's a sequel to it called Gump and Co.
This is like me telling you that Stephen King wrote Shawshank Redemption. I had no idea this was a book. God, this makes me think how less and less creative Hollywood is nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah. So apparently Gump and Co. Gump and Company was supposed to take place 4
Glad
minutes.
you clarified that.
Yeah.
The acronym there. All right.
It was supposed to take place 4 minutes after the ending of the first movie. So he makes it
happens
to
at the end?
he makes it to his kid's house or whatever. And
Yeah.
it pretty much just fades out from there. Like, he's at the kid's house and he finds out that it's his kid.
Right.
So picks up
And Robin Wright dies of AIDS.
She dies, yeah. In the book,
Yeah.
apparently she doesn't die until the beginning of the first book, or the second book.
Okay.
So the movie was supposed to follow him raising his son as a single father through the 80s and 90s. And the first problem with the sequel was that it was fucking crazy. It was insane.
How?
So we all know how the first movie was. Like, he's in
I
Vietnam.
mean, that was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy.
It's
Far-fetched.
crazy. Gump and Co. is like 10 times crazier.
Oh,
So,
God.
in Gump and Co., Forrest Gump's company starts failing and he goes broke. He has to take a job as a janitor in a strip club. At that point, he meets a professional NFL player in the strip club, and the guy talks to some people. He remembers that Forrest Gump played some football and he was really good.
At Alabama.
Yeah. So Forrest Gump then becomes a professional football player for the New Orleans Saints. At that point,
Oh my God.
at that it gets worse. At that point, Forrest returns to Jenny's grave and she talks to him as a ghost.
Oh no.
And from that point on in the movie,
I thought you were gonna say he brought her back from the dead.
no. From that point on in the
You're
movie,
right, it does get worse. It does get worse.
she's basically coming back every now and then to hang out with Forrest and Forrest Jr. And she's just in the movie, like the rest of the movie.
I think his mental retardation has gotten much worse. I think he actually needs to be admitted.
So yeah, we were talking about how crazy the first one is. So the second one, this is all the shit that he does. He helps invent the formula for New Coke. He works with John Hinckley, which is Reagan's attempted assassin, at a Christian-themed amusement park.
Oh my God.
He accidentally takes down the Berlin Wall. He crashes the Exxon Valdez.
He systematically ends communism.
Yeah, pretty much.
He convinces what's his face, Gorbachev to end the Soviet Union.
Yeah. And the last one was that he oh God. He fights in Operation Desert Storm with an orangutan named Sue that he met while he was an astronaut.
Wait, he was an astronaut too?
It doesn't touch on it in the book, but
He survives. He's the only survivor of the Challenger explosion.
pretty much, yeah. So that's everything that was in the book. The movie adaptation of this.
Oh shit! This was in the book.
This was in the book, yes. That was
that was published.
It was going to be in the movie.
And
yeah.
read.
It was in the
people
book,
bought
and
read.
it was going to be in the movie. So the film adaptation or the script had Forrest riding in the back of O.J. Simpson's Bronco while he was being chased.
No.
So that was another crazy thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Why was he in there?
It doesn't say. It's just that he was in there.
Shit. Now we know. OJ didn't do it. It was Forrest Gump.
It was Forrest fucking Gump. So the studio 100% intended to make this movie, and they even bought the rights to the book for $2 million.
Oh my God.
So the whole unraveling of this movie was that Robert Zemeckis, the director of the first one, didn't want to be involved in a sequel at all. Never wanted to. And he basically said the first film was a lucky success because the baby boomer nostalgia. And he didn't think that people would want to see a movie about the same thing, just more
With
like
new
more of the same
events.
thing. Yeah.
More events. Yeah.
So
Oh God.
around the same time, Tom Hanks came out to a publication, whatever it was, and he said that he was never sold on returning. He never wanted to return. And his catchphrase, the Forrest Gump catchphrase, stupid is as stupid does, made him, quote unquote, sick. So he never wanted to do a sequel.
So he hated Forrest Gump then.
He hated it. I guess he hated how popular it was. Because I guess he thought he was going to make this artsy film and
then
it'd
it
be
became
really
like
good.
a classic.
Yeah. So even though all this happened, Robert Zemeckis, Tom Hanks didn't want to do it. The studio said,
You're doing it.
we want a script. So a script was written, and the screenwriter, this takes a dark turn. The screenwriter Eric Roth put his script in the mail to the studio on September 10th, 2001.
Oh.
So the next day, obviously September 11th, happens, and they kind of put it on the shelf, and then around 2002,
Oh God.
the studio says the world has changed and nobody wants to see an idiot fumble his way through another war. So that was the end of Gump and Company.
So the terrorists stopped Forrest Gump 2 from
Yeah.
being made.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, basically.
Oh my God. That is.
Because if you think about it, like the movie came out in 94. So this is a number of years later
Yeah.
that they're still thinking about making this, 2001. And by 2002, they're still kind of considering it. And then by the end of 2002, they're like, no, we can't do this. That was right around the time that we were going to war.
Going to war with Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, no. But almost 9 years almost, that they were considering making this.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Fucking A.
Jesus Christ. It took terrorists to stop this movie from being made.
Yeah.
I think yours might have gone to the top of jeez. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my next one wasn't stopped by terrorists. Rather, it was stopped by the sands of time. And I'm talking about the Vega Brothers movie. Now, if you don't know, there's a little movie, 2 little movies, Pulp Fiction, that Quentin Tarantino made that featured, and most people didn't really, I feel like most people didn't really make the connect, because I know I didn't.
What
for
were
a
they
while.
again? You cut out a little bit. What were they?
Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
So I feel like a lot of people haven't made the connection between 2 characters within both those movies, which is Vic Vega, played by Michael Madsen? That's his name?
I think so. Yeah.
Sounds right. And Vincent Vega, which is obviously played by John Travolta. So apparently these guys, according to Quentin Tarantino, are not related, despite the fact that they do have the same last name. So this was supposed to be a sequel that kind of brought together the Quentin Tarantino cinematic universe, the QTCU, if you will. And so there were actually 2 plot points for this movie. The first being, which I actually hate this one. According to Michael Madsen and Quentin Tarantino, both Michael Madsen and John Travolta would play a twin of each Vega brother. So Michael Madsen would play the twin of Vic Vega, and John Travolta would play the twin of Vincent Vega. The whole plot was they both just got out of jail and are on their way to avenge the deaths of their brothers. Both of them don't know who each other are, and they just so happen to sit next to each other on the plane on the way to get some good old-fashioned Quentin Tarantino revenge. As far as the rest of the movie is concerned, I'm sure it was probably a wordgasm, as Quentin Tarantino usually does, and they probably both find out about each other. This would have been better if they found out if, like, Michael Madsen killed John Travolta in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, they both sit down next to each other, they have, like, these conversations about, and then they realize, oh, shit, like, your brother killed my brother, whatever, vice versa. I don't know. Yeah, but it's like, I feel like both of them were in different areas. Like, in Reservoir Dogs, he was killed by Tim Roth, right? Oh, no. Steve Buscemi killed him.
Yeah.
I think. Steve
It's
Buscemi
been
killed
so
him.
long since I've seen Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah. And then Vincent Vega got killed by Bruce Willis's character.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they're both going, that they're avenging deaths, but it doesn't really make sense. And of course, the other idea was that Tarantino would make this as a prequel, where I guess Vincent and Vic were somewhat related. And this is when Vincent Vega was working in Amsterdam for one of Marcellus Wallace's clubs, and Vic goes to visit him.
Do they get Royales with cheese?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm hoping they went up. I don't know if they would get Royales with cheese, but I would hope that they would. Obviously, it doesn't get made because by the time Tarantino even decided to start making this, both the actors ended up being too old, and like Tarantino was just like, I have other shit that I'm fucking doing right now. As far as I'm concerned, I dig a prequel of both guys getting into some real drug-addled disaster, especially in Amsterdam, like a European. That's like Euro trip, but like back then. So plenty of violence, plenty of funny moments. It sucks that that never came to fruition.
Yeah, I could have been into this if it was a prequel, but it still had like I don't like the idea of them being twins and like what are the like coincidence that both your brothers got killed, you're both twins, you're both on the same plane. Like, come on.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to the same place. That's really what got me. I'm like, I think both movies. I'm assuming Pulp Fiction was like in LA, maybe Reservoir.
I think Reservoir Dogs was in San Francisco or something.
Okay, maybe they're going to a connecting flight.
They're coming from Canada, like northern Canada.
I don't even know.
They got to stop in San Francisco.
Yeah. I like it. I just it would have been better if they were both young, because obviously now. Young.
Yeah, it would have been better if it was maybe thought out before, at least before Pulp Fiction was made.
Right.
Because I feel like they never that was like one movie that they never intended to make a sequel for, and they're trying to like Quentin Tarantino's like, how can I make this into a sequel? Oh, I got it, they're twins.
Yeah.
And you know what? Both of them have a twin brother.
When I read the first thing, I was like, both of them are brothers, but I'm like, but then how are they alive and not know who each other are? At first I thought they were like twins separated at birth. I'm like, that's really fucking stupid. And then they were like, no, they're twins of the dead characters, which probably sounds more stupid than the fact that they were separated at birth.
Yeah. No, it does. It does. I had to process what I just heard. Like I still don't fully understand it, but like
honestly, neither do I.
It sounded like a poor excuse to try to make a sequel.
It really did. And I think by the time Tarantino was even serious about writing anything, both guys, because he said like, I tried like in my head to make it work with them older, and it just didn't.
Yeah. In
either scenario, obviously a prequel wouldn't have worked, but then this thing where they're like out of jail, they're both twins, they're both on the same plane ride, they're both out for the same revenge. It just was too far-fetched for Tarantino, which that's when you stop.
Yeah. Yeah. So this next one is a movie that I've been I want a sequel for. I've wanted a sequel for. It's one of my favorite movies. It's District 10, the sequel to the 2009 Neil Blomkamp movie District 9, which it's probably top 5 favorite movies for me.
It's a good movie.
It's a great movie.
I really wish they didn't go with District 10. They went with like District 9, 2 more districts too much or something.
District 9 3/4, and it's a Harry Potter crossover.
I wouldn't be mad at that, honestly.
So the backstory on District 10, you got to kind of go back to District 9. Neil Blomkamp was supposed to direct the Halo movie, and obviously we know that didn't happen. Yeah, that could be a whole nother episode. So Peter Jackson scrapped the Halo movie, or basically the studio scrapped it, and Peter Jackson agreed as like to make it up to him or something, was like, yeah, I'll make District 9. So he agreed. He greenlit District 9 based off of Blomkamp's short film Alive in Joburg, which is amazing for a short film. So good. So it was supposed to take place about 4 years after the first movie because, you know, at the end, Christopher leaves and says, I'll be back in 4 years. That's pretty much the end of the movie. It's like, hey, I'll be back in 4 years.
Yeah, doesn't he just abandons him?
Yeah. He says he has the cure to turn Wickus back into a human.
A human, yeah.
And he's like, yeah, peace out. I'll be back in 4 years.
AKA, I'm out of here. I'm not.
Pretty much, yeah. So other than that, nothing about the synopsis has been talked about.
And it's for sure not happening.
I'll get to that at the end.
Okay.
So, according to the director, Neil Blomkamp, he never intended and never wanted to make a sequel to District 9. Which doesn't make sense because District 9 ends on a cliffhanger.
It really does. It really does.
Yeah, he didn't.
I remember seeing it. I thought there was going to be another one.
Yeah. So he didn't realize that it had the potential to have a sequel until he was editing the movie. So it's kind of crazy that he shot the entire movie and was just throwing it together, editing it, and he was like, "Oh shit, this sets up a sequel." And that's when he first started to think that there could be a sequel to this movie.
Was he like completely oblivious during filming? Like, how do you not know your own movie? You're just
I
like,
know.
Oh shit, yeah. This can be there is a way to end this and promise more.
Maybe he took some stuff that was out of sequence and then edited it to make it have a setup for a sequel.
Right.
I don't know. I can only imagine that. I hate thinking that he didn't plan a sequel with that ending.
Right.
It sucks. So
I mean, it does suck.
Yeah, District 9 came out in 2010. In 2010, no, it came out in 2009. So in 2010, Blomkamp was doing an interview with a magazine, and he said he had no idea what the story would be for District 10, but that he had an idea for a prequel called District 8. So he was kind of toying around with making a prequel, and basically his busyness was always in the way. Like, he never wanted to make a sequel. He always wanted to make original stuff. So in 2000,
is that why Elysium and Chappie basically look exactly like District 9?
Yeah, so apparently from what I read from all this shit is that District 9, Elysium, and Chappie are supposed to be like a 3-film, like, you know, like Shaun of the Dead type thing. You know, it's like a 3-film thing, and then it's like it's its own thing.
Like it's like a trilogy, but not.
Yeah. It's basically 3 films that are similar in style and
right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. So 2013, Elysium comes out. He was working on Chappie pretty much immediately after Elysium comes out. Chappie comes out in 2015, and by that time, Blomkamp just never cared to make a sequel or never. It had always been talked about, but he was never actively trying to make a sequel. So in 2015, he was quoted in a magazine as saying he has a good idea for a sequel. He's ready to make it, but he can't make it for another 3 years. So
what?
Yeah. So this was right around when he was in talks to make the 5th Alien movie, right before Ridley Scott's movie.
Okay.
And he was working on it. He was working on the technology for it. He was talking to Sigourney Weaver, getting her on board.
Ooh.
He had so much shit done. He even went on Twitter and posted some renderings of some scenes in Alien 5. So he's working on that. Ridley Scott returns to the series and basically indirectly pushes him out.
Overrules him.
Yeah. So
which was a shame.
Yeah, even in a Reddit,
His Covenant was not good.
a Reddit AMA, somebody asked if anyone would ever see his Alien movie, and he said, most likely not. So
Damn.
that's a
this
shame.
This guy has a really bad history with like productions.
Yeah, he does. So
that sucks.
2017, beginning of 2017, he signs on to make short films with the video game platform Steam. The series was called Atom, and it was a mini series made with the Unreal Engine. So it was like an interactive short film.
Okay.
So at this point, early 2017, Sharlto Copley comes out and says he wants to come back. He wants to make the movie. He's ready to make it, and all he's waiting for is Neil Blomkamp. By that time, was right around beginning of summer, and Blomkamp wrote an 18-page treatment for District 10, basically the precursor to what the film was going to be. And then October 3rd, 2017, Rolling Stone has an interview with him, and they ask him if he's ever going to make District 10, and he says he'll make it in the next few years unless I die. And that's the end of District 10. That's the last we've heard. Granted, it's not too long ago, but in my opinion, they've kind of missed the window to make District 10.
Agreed. And also, spoiler alert, he's dead.
Who's dead?
Neil Blomkamp.
Neil Blomkamp. Yeah. Yeah.
Damn,
it's a horrible end to a sequel that really needs to be made, because he fucking set up the sequel. Like, how do you make a movie not knowing that there's going to be a sequel and then set up a sequel?
I really feel like I need to rewatch that movie because it was, I feel like, ahead of its time.
I really hope if I go back and watch it that the effects stand up.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, oh, that's gonna be rough, especially with the aliens. I don't know.
Yeah, the whole movie would be ruined if it.
Yeah, it totally would.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get on to our honorable mentions. My honorable mention here. God, I don't. It's like. It's honestly one of those things that you would never, ever imagine would happen. So apparently, everyone loved Gladiator. It's a great movie.
It is a great movie.
Russell Crowe thought there should have been a second one. So he enlisted the help of his friend to write a script for it. And a script, it was about as much of a script as words on a piece of paper are a script.
Oh, God. Wow.
So, I'm not even going to tell you the title of what Gladiator 2 would be called, because it's Gladiator 2 with a little extra at the end. I'll just give you the synopsis. So Maximus goes to the afterlife after being killed. He's given the tasks by the gods. Gods are losing popularity from someone named Christ.
Fuck.
So the gods task him to assassinate Jesus, who's taken all the worshipers away. I'm just gonna tell you the movie's called Gladiator 2: Christ Killer. And then and the movie goes from afterlife, like God of War type stuff, to assassinating Jesus, to he ends up fighting in all the wars of mankind, like X-Men Origins Wolverine, all the way up to Vietnam, and then he ends up working in the Pentagon. So he goes from Italy, Rome, to fighting in all of America's wars for some reason, and then working for the United States, and he assassinated Christ. So, Russell Crowe obviously didn't like this. He said it was not good, but obviously this is more of a joke. I thought this was a joke. This is apparently legitimate. I don't know if the wrote it meant it to be a joke, but I remember him saying, like, Russell, you die at the end of the first one. He goes, yeah, you sort that out. So I guess his way of sorting that out was making a fan fiction of what Gladiator would be. He just ends up like assassinating Jesus and working for the Roman gods. It's probably one of the most absurd things I've ever heard in my life.
It sounds like a synopsis for it, like a Jarhead 7. Like, it's so... Like, there's been so many actors playing the Jarhead main character that, like, They're
I
getting into
100%
like
agree.
like it sounds like a synopsis for a Lifetime budgeted movie.
You know what this sounds like? It sounds like a movie that is none other Gerard Butler himself.
Yeah, it does sound like a movie where Gerard Butler would play Russell Crowe's
Maximus.
character. Yeah.
Yeah, Maximus. Yeah, totally.
Oh God, that sounds awful.
Oh man, it is not good. All right, man. So what do you got? What do you got for this?
My oh God, it's a movie that should never be made. It should have never been considered, and I'm glad that it didn't get made. It's my honorable mention is The Departed 2.
Oh God.
Cruise Control.
Cruise Control.
No, it never actually had a title. It was just called Departed 2. But basically, it was supposed to follow Mark Wahlberg when he basically just disappears for the entire movie of The Departed 1.
Okay, so this is the in between.
Yeah,
so
this
it's
is
not
what
after
happened.
Departed. It's like during The Departed.
Right. This was the idea for the movie. So Departed was based off of the Japanese movie Infernal Affairs.
Internal Affairs. Yeah, yeah.
So there was 3 Infernal Affairs that were made, and it was Infernal Affairs 1, and then 2 was a prequel, and then 3 was a sequel to that prequel.
So they're all prequels.
Pretty much, yeah.
So what?
Yes. So The Departed 2 was gonna kind of go away from doing the prequel thing and do like the also movie, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Because Mark Wahlberg disappears pretty quickly and doesn't come back until the end of The Departed.
Yeah.
And this got to the point where Mark Wahlberg was interested in playing, like they were interested in making this movie.
I mean, of course he was. How are you so surprised about it?
So the interest was there.
Was he paid $1.5 million for just thinking about doing it?
Maybe. The only thing that they needed was they wanted Martin Scorsese to come back, and that was like non-negotiable. If he didn't come back, they weren't going to make it. And they pitched him the idea, and he said, "No, The Departed is a one and done. Like it's a standalone, nothing else. There's nothing."
Right.
And at that point, it was just squashed, never to be brought up again. And we never got The Departed 2 or the also movie to The Departed.
Well, I have to say that isn't like I would have rather seen Departed 2 than Gladiator 2 Christ Killer. That's just me. Out of 2 Oscar movies for Best Picture, which that's actually funny that we have 2 Oscar Best Picture movies having 2 sequels that I'm just glad were not made.
Yeah, I agree. The Departed is probably in my top 5. It's in my top 5, definitely.
I feel like you've named more than 5 movies that are in your top.
No, top 5 is The Departed, Goodfellas, Into the Wild, District 9, and 5. I guess my top 4. It's in my top 4.
So Departed is number 1.
Yeah, Departed is number 1.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I guess top 5. The 5th one would be Casino, because like it's the weakest of my 3 favorite Scorsese movies.
Okay, fair enough. All right, man. Well, this is like the first time we're doing this where we have like we usually have the news stuff, and I have to say I really like the new format. I like we'll definitely like polish it once we get more accustomed to the whole theme things, but I like the theme. This has probably been the most research you or I have ever done for a podcast.
I don't think I did this much research when I wrote papers in college.
I seriously felt like I'm like, man, this is a great class. Oh wait, this is not a class. This is what I actually want to be doing.
Yeah. I remember writing stuff and I was like, I don't hate what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely like this. I definitely am looking forward to next week. We'll probably drop a hint throughout the week on what we're doing next. I know we had a couple of ideas in the pipeline, which is nice. So now we don't have to actually like focus on current events. Obviously, we'll probably talk about stuff when it comes up. But as far as everything, I hope everyone enjoyed it. Definitely let us definitely shout us out on Twitter at Wicked Hot, and obviously at Kevin and I's respective handles. But yeah, let us know how we did. Let us know what you think. Let us know what any other movie that you have, like a sequel that wasn't ever made that you may have wanted to be made, or maybe one that we probably didn't cover because there were a lot.
Yeah, there's
to
a lot of
choose
them.
from.
Yeah,
There's a lot to choose from.
maybe we
I'm
come back.
pretty
We circle back on this when we get polished.
Yeah,
Episodes and episodes from now, we come back to this and we do 3 new ones each.
yeah, agreed. All right, man. Well, I think that's about enough for me. I don't know if you have anything else you want to bestow upon us.
I'm fucking done with this shit. Let's end the cast.
Okay, cool.
Bye, everybody.
Later.